the land down under. Australia, one of Indiana's next targets to land business deals in renewable energy, semiconductors, and the EV space. Governor Eric Holcomb joins us from Melbourne on the state's latest overseas economic development mission.
Fly ball center field, well hit, at the track, he's done it again!
Plus, the connection between one of the best in baseball and Indiana innovation, what you need to know about Rally 2024, and a report card from the Wabash Valley. New Mayor Brandon Sakbun weighs in on the past, present, and future of Terre Haute. Inside Indiana Business is next.
From Indiana's business news leader, this is IBJ Media's Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick, presented by Elevate Ventures, Indiana University, and LIUNA.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Inside Indiana Business. I'm Mary Rachel Redmond in for Gary Dick. Well, more than 9,500 miles from Hoosier soil, halfway around the world, Indiana government and business leaders are on a mission here in Australia and in Singapore, looking to build on the state's already robust footprint in both countries. Governor Eric Holcomb leading his 24th International Economic Development Mission, touting Indiana as the ideal place to do business. The governor and leaders from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation are in Australia and Singapore this week, focusing on boosting investment in Indiana renewable energy, semiconductors, and the EV industry. The delegation looking to capitalize on what already adds up to big numbers contributing to the state's economy. Hoosier imports and exports to Australia and Singapore adding up to over $2 billion. Vila Solar, a good example. The Singapore-based company operates a $35 million headquarters and manufacturing facility in Indianapolis. And then there's Australian-based Pratt Industries, a worldwide leader in the recycled paper and packaging industry with a big presence in Valparaiso in Northwest Indiana. Add to that Indiana-based business giants like Eli Lilly and Warsaw-based orthopedics manufacturer Zimmer Biomet, both with substantial operations in Singapore and Australia. We spoke with Governor Eric Holcomb from Melbourne this week on the potential payoff and impact this trade mission could have for Indiana.
Time is ticking, and we need to get to work. And when the invitations came in, we jumped at it, just because the stars really are aligning for the state of Indiana in the world. And they have taken note with a new hydrogen hub, with a new biotech hub, with a new NE Commons or the microelectronics hub, all the work that's going on around Crane with the hard tech corridor. When you talk about all the renewable energy sources under construction in the state of Indiana, and we like all the above and American made. And so for companies in Australia, what's interesting is it's a big country, landmass, a continent. But if they want to scale up their businesses, they're doing it in large part all over the world. And so for a place like America, a market that big, where they can partner their talent with talent at Purdue and Indiana University and Notre Dame and Holcomb and Ivy Tech, they really have a great shot at growing. This really is a perfect match, and we can't afford as a state to downshift. And so you have to get out there, whether it's around the state or around the country or around the world, if you want to form these partnerships and really carpe diem, not squander this moment. Where, as I said, these stars are aligning. And so we're working with semiconductor companies. We're working with folks who are involved in the hydrogen space. We're working with folks who are involved in solar, et cetera, in Australia. And good things will, I think, come from it.
You're half a world away, right? And Indiana, here in the Midwest, culturally a little bit different, right? So what is your sales pitch to these folks? How do you sell Indiana?
Indiana is the oasis. It is a land of opportunity. And when you talk about what you need to grow your business, we offer a low-cost environment, access to high talent, and great sites. I look at Indiana, our role in not just development, but the research, the R. Now we're known for the R and the D. And that pulls talent toward one another, almost like a magnet. If the invitation comes in and it's real, and you want to get to work and you want to build something durable and special that's going to create high wage, fill high demand jobs, careers, then I'll go anywhere in the world.
Great to hear from the governor. Well, check this out. One of Singapore's big attractions for both tourists and locals is the Gardens by the Bay Nature Park, a development Indianapolis city leaders are looking at to reimagine what could be possible for the White River. It features 18 towers of vertical garden structures known as super trees. Indy tourism officials visited Singapore late last year to see whether it's feasible to develop something similar along the White River. Next, Indiana also pushing its chips in on innovation. Rally 2024 in Indy right around the corner. The mission behind the event and the big name keynote speaker this year when we come back.
I'm proud to announce today that Lucas Oil Stadium will be the home of the Big Ten Football Championship game for another 4 seasons through 2028.
Score another one for Indianapolis. The battle for Big Ten football bragging rights staying in the Circle City, a weekend that pumps roughly $20 million into central Indiana's economy. Well, another big event on the horizon in Indianapolis with a sports tie, Rally, a global innovation conference coming up at the end of August. I caught up with Rally visionary Christopher Day on what folks can expect in year 2. A number of heavy hitters from around the globe and a range of different sectors from sports, education, ag, and more, all set to convene at the Indiana Convention Center next month for this.
Rally is the world's largest cross-sector innovation conference. Anybody who has a hand in innovation, those are philanthropic leaders, educational leaders, foundational leaders, policymakers, anyone who has a hand in the pie of trying to make the world a better place.
After its inaugural debut last summer, Rally visionary and Elevate Ventures CEO Christopher Day tells me Rally produced a number of tangible success stories.
We had over 21,000 collisions or meetings. Those are the ones just that we could measure. We had other companies who met other partners, right? So whether it was customers that they got business from, whether it was other partners where they were struggling maybe to tell their story, and they met a marketing partner, a PR partner that just got their product, and now they're working together.
And speaking of heavy hitters,
see ya! He did it in style! He joins the 3,000 hit club!
This year's keynote speaker, New York Yankees legend Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod, quite the entrepreneur himself.
The one thing I've been focusing on is the 2 B's, baseball and business.
Number one, it shines a spotlight and brings more awareness to Rally as a whole. I mean, he's a global phenomenon. You know, he went through adversity in his career, but continued to work hard, reinvent himself. And life after baseball has been highly successful, putting together massive funding sources for innovative sports tech companies.
Rally will also feature year 2 of its signature pitch competition with a Hoosier twist.
We run one of the world's largest pitch competitions. So it's up to a $5 million prize package. But if they want the investment, they've got to come here and locate in Indiana for at least a year. And so we narrow that down to 5 finalists. The fun thing is in year 1, 4 of those 5 companies not just came here for a year, but they actually have already set up shop to expand their business here in Indiana.
And perhaps Rally's more lasting impact, attracting new companies and entrepreneurs to Indiana, something Day says is key to growing the state's economy and lifting Hoosier wages.
If we look at our average wage here in Indiana, it's still under the national average. Why is that? The jobs that are above the national average come in the form mainly through tech or tech-enabled type jobs and through healthcare type jobs. And then those are the highest multipliers of industries that produce the highest number of indirect jobs. So these multipliers are roughly 3 to 4, even 4.5x of every job produced in tech, for example, produces a service job or an indirect job. That's teaching, that's car sales, that's restaurants, that's all those kinds of things. If we attract these types of jobs that are innovative throughout the state of Indiana, then the opportunity for us to get the average wage of our citizens to be well above the national average is right within our reach.
And there's still time to register for Rally 2024, the event taking place at the Indiana Convention Center in Indianapolis, August 27th and 28th. For more information, go to rallyinnovation.com. Well, up next, Jackpot, how gamblers playing at Indiana's newest casino in Terre Haute are helping to push revenue for the state's bottom line.
Here's what's making news around Indiana. Brought to you by the Indiana Association of Realtors. Indiana's 21,000 realtors. The neighbors you know, the experts you can count on.
We begin this week in the Wabash Valley, where new Terre Haute Mayor Brandon Sakbun is marking his first 6 months in office. Inside Indiana business host Gary Dick sat down with Sakbun to get his take on the past, present, and future of the city he lovingly refers to as Terradise.
You just passed 6 months in office. How would you describe your first 6 months?
So, I always say every day is game day, but also every day is different. You have your set plan, your set schedule. You're working with constituent services, sometimes one-on-one. We've had some great wins. We've seen successes. We retooled our housing grant program in December and January, and now we're seeing record number of homes being built. Anytime you talk about construction, a lot of folks, and I get this, that's 7.5% interest rate. It's frustrating, right? So how can local governments say, hey, we're going to provide just a little bit of financial support to get you over the edge through a grant-based program partnered with Thrive West Central? That's led to over 300 new housing units, either constructed or starting construction in a 6-month span. In previous years, we'd only hit 122 a year. 1 year, we only hit 70 to 80. This is all the past 10 years. So when you look at the property tax caps in the state of Indiana and our property tax rates, to avoid some of the financial situations you'll run into in local government, you've got to grow. You've got to grow yourself out of this problem, and we're really hitting that on the head.
Do you sense this is Terre Haute's time?
I really do think so. I strongly believe so. Whether it's strong investments in quality of life projects, strides in housing, addressing archaic infrastructure, what we're doing is not, siloed efforts. We're taking a collective approach to turn Terre Haute back on an upward trajectory. It was not too long, decades ago, that Terre Haute was beating the Muncies of the world, right? Competing with the South Bends, the Evansvilles, the Fort Waynes. So really taking that hard look in the mirror, saying, hey, let's pivot and change some things up. And that's what we've done through elections, through new leadership at organizations. And I strongly believe you're going to see a lot of activity in the next 18 to 24 months, which will pay off not just for the next 2 years, but the next 2 decades.
Talk about activity on Wabash Avenue and where you see that going.
So we're really, if you look at 13th and Wabash, we got some infrastructure improvements with INDOT. We're going to tear down our old police station. It was even a jail at one point, and chase a multi-use development project there. And then continuing to move west, we're blessed to see a hotel development that includes commercial opportunities. It's even going to be a pool downtown in Terre Haute, with a couple of bars and restaurants. And what that does, not just for Indiana State students or folks who live in Terre Haute or folks who visit, but what it really does is it drives downtown development and density. Can you park your car in a parking garage or on the street, eat, shop, drink, all within a couple of blocks, right? Can you work downtown? We got the station, a teleworking facility. We've got, continuing to see investments by some of our banks with the jobs offered there. So what we're really doing is saying, hey, it's not going to be like 50, 60 years ago when Roots was downtown and the trolley was downtown, but some of the characteristics will come back.
How important is that vision to the ultimate success of the convention center?
So it's very important. The convention center, they are turning groups away because of a lack of hotel space. They're doing very strong. They have improved this past year. So we're happy to see the improvements there. But it's, we never sell the convention center. We never sell just ISU. We always sell Terre Haute, Indiana, right? So it's a part of that. And, yes, you got that destination development, but you're also saying, hey, can we keep some of these young families? Can we keep some of these seniors by offering more activities, more dining, more drinking downtown Terre Haute, Indiana?
Terre Haute, also home to Indiana's newest casino, which is having a big impact on the state's economy. While Indiana's casinos are reporting month-to-month revenue decreases, there's been a $7 million increase from June 2023 to June 2024, a large part of that due to the Terre Haute Casino Resort, which opened in April. There are 13 casinos located throughout the state of Indiana. After more than 5 years, the Mascot Hall of Fame in Whiting is officially closing its doors. Why? Well, the BP Whiting refinery is expanding its footprint on the property. The museum's final day open is September 14th. However, the Mascot Museum will exist online. Museum officials also teasing plans for a potential new location, so stay tuned.
This is the world's smallest drum.
Purdue University taking a giant leap into the Guinness Book of World Records this week. The world's smallest drum is about half the diameter of a human hair. It was created on a 3D printer that makes microplastics materials for advanced medical devices. When we come back, checking in on one of the biggest projects in Indiana history, the timeline for completion of IU Health's new $4.3 billion Indianapolis downtown hospital campus when we come back.
Finding the right healthcare partner for your business isn't easy, but Hancock Well-Being at Work can help. We're a different kind of program that combines employer clinics with a wellness strategy. And in a lot of cases, we can deliver greater health benefits at a lower cost. See why well-being for your employees is well-being for your business at HancockWellBeingAtWork.org.
To the business of health now, where reporter Kylie Valletta first told you about Fishers native Vince Dixon. Just a few months ago, he's making a powerful short film based on his sister's battle with addiction. Here's Kylie now with an update and a sneak peek of Dixon's work.
Camera speeds. 10 dogs, take one, soft sticks, mark.
Dixon now lives in LA, but spent several days in Fishers earlier this summer shooting his short film, which is currently being edited. It tells the story of Dixon and his sister, who both grew up in Fishers. An overdose ultimately took his sister's life, and Dixon hopes the film is a conversation starter about loving someone who's battling addiction. The film now has a screening date in September at Community Fairbanks Recovery Center in Indianapolis, where his sister went to rehab. More public screenings are in the works. You don't hear this very often. A construction project is running on time, and it's one of the biggest in Indianapolis history. IU Health says its massive $4.3 billion project for a new downtown hospital campus spanning 44 acres is set to be topped out next spring. The new hospital is on schedule to open in late 2027. And the University of Southern Indiana will be the first state school in the southern part of the state to offer a doctorate in occupational therapy. USI says it's a milestone in the university's commitment to advancing healthcare education and helps meet growing demand for more occupational therapists. The new program will begin accepting applications in the fall and launch in 2025.
The OTD degree requires the students to complete a capstone project and an experience during that last year that the master students are not required to do. And with that, our community partnerships are going to increase more than ever. And we're going to be able to expand on relationships, again, not just within our own community, but wherever USI reaches.
Mary Rachel, now back to you for a look at what's making headlines in education across Indiana.
Time now for our Eye on Education, brought to you by PNC Bank.
Well, we've got our eye on education starting this week in Northwest Indiana. Purdue Northwest planning to establish a major presence in the fast-growing quantum space in Hammond. The university working with a coalition of stakeholders to set up the Roberts Impact Lab, set to be part of Hammond's new $40 million innovation district.
Mission control, this is the spacecraft. Do you copy over?
And staying in the region, the Challenger Learning Center receiving more than $960,000 to upgrade its mission control simulator. The center carries on the legacy of the Challenger 51 crew through teaching students about science and space exploration. The money will go towards software enhancements and furnishings upgrades so the center can mimic the look of the existing Blue Origin facilities at NASA. As teachers put the final finish on their classrooms, work on a potential future field trip site continues. A STEAM classroom is part of the renovated Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. Jacob Palos is the museum's new director of education. He's designing programming, purchasing equipment, and building relationships with schools, nonprofits, and other community groups.
I've started a lot of programs similar to this, but on the educational side. So the fact that I'm able to take what I've learned from that aspect and from what my teachers and my students need and apply it to more of a what can I give to everybody type situation, from little kids all the way up to our elderly visitors, is something I'm really, really excited about.
The renovated museum will open in the spring. Apollo says he hopes the space will also help start to continue a passion for racing, the automotive industry, and the careers that are available in those fields. That's all the time we have for this edition of Inside Indiana Business. We leave you this week with a look ahead to an Indiana tradition coming very, very soon, the Indiana State Fair.
Thank you for listening to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. Remember, you can get the latest business news from every corner of the state at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gary Dick. Go out and make it a successful week.